Hello, today we are going to look at Cartesian equations in standard form of the conic sections. Our targets today are that you will be able to identify which type of conic section is being represented by an equation, and you will also be able to graph the conic section from standard form and write the equation of a graph in standard form. All right, so we are going to talk about the four different conic sections: circle, ellipse, hyperbola, or parabola. So these are our basic guidelines into figuring out what's the difference. So when you're looking at an equation, if you see x squared and y squared, and they have the same coefficients, like 3x squared plus 3y squared, I don't even care anything else outside of there, that is a circle. If you have an ellipse, you have x squared and y squared and unequal coefficients but same sign. So again, if it's plus, but now I have 2x squared plus 3y squared, and again, there can be other stuff here, that is a ellipse. A hyperbola is x squared and y squared with different signs. So basically, if you see x squared plus y squared ideas, you're going to be looking at ellipse and circles. If you see x squared minus y squared or y squared minus x squared, then it's going to be a hyperbola. So those are a couple examples of hyperbolas. And lastly, if you have the parabola has only one of the variables is squared, whether it be x squared or whether it be y squared. So it could be y squared. Both of those are considered parabolas. So you have one linear term, the x here in the second one, and one linear term here with the y. All right, so let's just go through a few of these and let's figure out which one's what. So I see squareds, I see x and y. The coefficient in front of them, you're really looking at the number underneath because that's the same thing as writing 1/4 y. And so they are different, so this will be an ellipse. Okay. The coefficient here, if you were to square this through, x squared plus 4x plus 4, again, doesn't matter about all the other garbage except for the x squared term and the y squared term. And they would both have coefficients of 1, and so this is a circle. You see squareds, you see plus, so you should think either ellipse or a circle. Different numbers underneath, so that is an ellipse. Okay, on this one here, I see a squared term, but only one squared term. So therefore, parabola. Okay, I see squared, I see squared, I see plus, but don't let that trick you. There's a negative in front of the x squared, so since there's a negative in front of one of the squared terms, automatically it's a hyperbola. All right, give you a couple more. Again, this one looks like maybe it's ellipse, but since these are the exact same number and you got a plus sign, this is a circle. Automatically you see the minus sign, so you should think hyperbola. Only one term is squared here, so that is a parabola. Okay, then you see very different looking ones without a whole lot of parentheses, but again, we don't care about any of this other stuff. We look at the first, the x squared and the y squared. They're plus, different coefficients, ellipse. Subtraction sign, hyperbola. I always say that as I spell it, so I spell it right, but it's pronounced hyperbola. And then again, plus, same coefficient, don't care about any of that. This is a circle. One squared term, parabola. So hopefully you got the idea of identifying what it is. Now we're going to talk about how we graph them.